Hi, I'm Christina Trauthwein. I'm the Editor-in-Chief of Hotel Business, and I am here today with Guy Langford. He's the Vice Chairman and U.S. Leader of Transportation, Hospitality, and Services at Deloitte. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So, Deloitte recently came out, or a few months ago, with its 2019 Travel and Hospitality Industry Outlook. Let's talk about some of the key findings and trends from that, and maybe going into 2020.
Absolutely. We covered a lot of interesting topics in the Outlook, and we looked more broadly into the travel world of travel, which includes hospitality, but restaurants, airlines, and ground transportation as well. And we're definitely in a super cycle of travel. We focused on the fact that people are looking for experiences, and the demand for those experiences is driving a lot of the functionality and the technology developments that are happening within the broader travel ecosystem. So specifically, how are we using technology to create seamless traveler experiences? What types of technologies are really compelling to a customer or a traveler, taking friction out of the journey, creating a more memorable experience, whether it be catching an airplane ride and using your PDA as your airline ticket and checking in with it, or a similar experience with a hotel, and how are you able to use technology to really enhance the experience so you can spend more time doing the things that you enjoy.
It's not all about guest-facing technology. I feel like we focus on that a lot to make it a great customer experience, but I think it's a lot to do with also the kind of behind the scenes.
Absolutely, and we're actually spending a lot of our time focusing on future talent models, for example, and the types of capabilities that we need from those future talent models, the skills, education, and agility that talent of the future needs to have. We're also talking about the technology to enable it.
Right.
So what kinds of capabilities do we need to have in the hands of our associates, whether they're at the front desk, whether they're in our corporate offices, or whether they're helping to prepare guest rooms for our customers.
Okay, so what do you think the hotel of the future looks like? For instance, hotels are embracing co-working spaces, and I know that I think came up here at the conference. What are some other trends and opportunities?
Right, so this is one of my favorite topics. I think the discussion now has changed from 5 years ago. A lot of the hotel CEOs were talking about how do we get more heads in beds, how do we drive RevPAR, ADR. Still super important. But I think today the focus is on a broader experience on property. And so I talked about the soft assets before. How do you leverage those soft assets in some respects, technology, data, and talent, to drive better experiences on property? So you mentioned, for example, co-working spaces. That is an opportunity to provide a guest with a place to work. We also see opportunities to create places for them to work out and to enjoy a spa. So that's part of the health and wellness. Healthy food options through food and beverage delivery. Imagine a scenario where you're going on a business trip and you have a meeting at 12, checkouts at 10, you want to have a workout, you want to get prepared for your business meeting, and so you need some space at the property perhaps before you go to a business meeting, right? Having that functionality in your hands and through your PDA gives you the ability to drive an experience that says, you know what, I can spend more time at that property, I can get my work done, I can get my wellness done, I can be ready for a meeting. Thinking about things also that are like that, how do you infuse local content, local community, and local culture into an asset? So I often look at this as saying, how do you, instead of driving heads in beds, how do you drive those experiences that will keep people attracted to your asset or your hotel, and drive a loyalty and a stickiness to it? But being able to do that at scale requires the technology, the talent, and the data.
Okay, so what are some things we need to look at in terms of travel? Like, what are some of the most pressing issues impacting travel and tourism, and where are some challenges and opportunities?
So lots of pressing things. I mentioned the talent models of the future, thinking about hospitality today and the travel industry, and how there's a shortage of qualified talent across the broader travel ecosystem. So what does that future talent model look like? what skills do we need? Also thinking about the technology and the ability to retrain individuals into different roles and really attract them to the travel industry too. So Christina, we look at the travel industry as being a really attractive industry as a customer. How do you make it an attractive industry for people to spend their careers growing and providing a range of different experiences and having those different experiences themselves? So things like biometrics, getting people through airports, hotels, the whole travel ecosystem more seamlessly, I think is really important, and that's one of the challenges that I think the industry is also facing.
Okay, final question. We're at an investment conference, and at all these conferences, the topic of market and cycle and where we are, that always comes up. And I'm hearing a lot the words cautious optimism. What are your thoughts on that? Are we maybe heading for a slight downturn, and is there a way we can prepare for that?
So I think you've got an optimistic lens, which is great, and I would agree with that. I think there's definitely scope for optimism. I think there's also scope for realism. So the realistic view is, I think the industry understands where we are in a cycle, and so what things do we need to prepare? And I think thinking about those investments that I referenced, the investments in some of the, not only the hard assets, but the investments in those softer assets that actually will prepare for a more sustainable, longer term model. I've covered talent, and talent for me is number one.
Comes down to the people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank
All right.
you. Thanks for having me.